Okay. All right. Since it's not 8 o'clock in the evening in Israel, we're not in Israel, so we will uh, wait to not do the Shema since I'm not there and we're here during this. Oh, wait, no, I shouldn't say that. We will do it because it's 8 o'clock there, and so we'll be on their time. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. And our blessing for learning together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Welcome, Ilana and Marcia and Etta. Nice to see you. It's nice to see everybody. This week we are in parsha Ki-Tetze. Parsha Ki-Tetze, which begins on page 1047, which is chapter 21, verse 10 of the book of Devarim, Deuteronomy. What we're going to look at today is looking at this parsha, which has so many different mitzvahs in it, can be looked at in a variety of different ways at many different levels. And the way we're going to look at it is at partially its surface level, simple level, but more so as a path for us for how to use the month of Elul in preparation for Rosh Hashanah. So, and what our spiritual path is, what the challenges and opportunities are, and how we can use it. So this parsha is always read during the month of Elul. So for that, we don't ever consider that a just a chance thing, but that's meaningful to us. So the first thing we're going to see are the opening words. The parsha, which takes its name from opening words, but is also considered to be the theme of the parsha. So the first words are when you will go out, Ki-Tetze, Ki-Tetze lemilchama, when you will go out to battle, and al oivecha, against your enemies. And Hashem, your God, will deliver him into your hand, and you will capture his captivity. And you will see among the captivity a woman who is beautiful of form, and you will desire her, and you may take her to yourself for a wife. We're going to explore this from a different level, having to do again about our preparations in Elul and preparing for Rosh Hashanah. But let's just talk about the idea of Ki-Tetze lemilchama, when you go out to a battle. Ki-Tetze is there in a singular form, Ki-Tetze, like when you will go out singularly to battle, and is understood then to be a battle against primarily the Yetzer Hara, because we don't really need to know military strategy from the Torah. The Torah is our guide for spiritual growth, spiritual development, and the challenge is to know that there is a milchama, there is an actual battle. There's a wonderful book that we've mentioned over the years that was written by Sarah Yocheved Riegler and Rebbetzin Sipora Heller, and it's called Battle Plans. And it's about how to engage the Yetzer Hara and to be successful. It has different, if you have a chance to get this book during the month of Elul, I'm not sure actually who it's from, and I don't have it here since I'm in Florida rather than in Israel. But it's great, and it talks about different kinds of challenges, things that we want to work on in ourselves, and different strategies. And I really appreciate the humor and the humility with which they approach this. And it's kind of know that we're all in the same boat. We're all in a challenge as individuals and as a community, as a people, as humanity, trying to get ourselves to the next level. So Ki-Tetze lemilchama, when you go out to this battle. So the first things to understand is Ki-Tetze means when you go out. There is just the premise of when we're involved in spiritual growth and spiritual change, by definition, we have to go out of our comfort zone. We have to go out from the place that we currently find ourselves. There's no way to have growth and a change if we don't leave where we currently are. It's like, what is the height of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. That whatever it is that we want to change and we want to grow from, by definition, we have to Ki-Tetze. You must go out of that place, out of that comfort zone, and recognize that there is something to be done and that we are stepping out of where we currently are, our current situation. Going outside, we're going to also recognize that things that are outside, going out of our comfort area, are going out to a place to look at with some more objectivity to what our circumstances really are. That when we always, we say like, I can't really see it because I'm in it. Like, like a fish, does a fish know it's in water because it's surrounded by it? Do we really feel like, can we feel the air around us? It's like, not really, because we're in it. That when we are in whatever the circumstance is, we get used to it and we don't have any objectivity toward it. So that's what we say. We want somebody to, like, sometimes people will seek an advisor, whether it's a spiritual advisor, financial advisor, a nutritional advisor, somebody who has an outside opinion, who can look in and can give us some clarity. So the first thing we need to do is to be able to step outside of ourselves and look in with some more objective perception of what our reality is. So this is almost asking ourselves to be our own spiritual advisors, our own spiritual evaluators, and to approach with some objectivity what it is we are trying to accomplish. So ki tetze lemilchama, need to go out in order to have this battle, in order to arrange a plan, in order to see what it is that we are actually working with. All of it is going to somehow be connected to the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination that takes many, many forms. It's like a changeling from Star Trek. It takes different forms, and for each person, it speaks in the person's own voice. So when you say like a voice, voices tell me, that I should do or I shouldn't do whatever it is that's not healthy for us. It always speaks in our own voice. So that voice is something that we need to tune into to say, is this voice being helpful? It is considered part of the strategy of the Yetzer Hara is to use our own voice. How do we know that the Yetzer Hara is what's behind all of this? It says because the truth is that all of us are pure, essentially pure, holy beings. And the only reason that we get off track is because something has kind of entered our realm and has created what's called a klipa, has created some sort of a barrier to our spiritual connection that is interfering with our ability to grow. This Yetzer Hara is epitomized and personified in a specific group of people that we identify as the enemy of the Jewish people, which is Amalek. So we remember Amalek is who came and attacked the Jewish people after the splitting of the sea and to destroy us, and that Joshua went out to fight against Amalek and weakened him. And we're going to talk about what Moshe did in order to help. But Amalek is referred to in this week's parsha as well. The end of the parsha, and there are many who talk about that the beginning of the parsha and the end of the parsha are always connected. So when it says ki tetze lemilchama as the opening part, when you go out to do battle against your enemy, who is that enemy going to be? Turn to the end of the parsha, and we're going to see it identifies exactly who the enemy is. And this is on page 1067. Page 1067, which is chapter 25, verse 17. And it says, remember what Amalek did to you on the way when you were leaving Egypt, that he happened upon you on the way, and he struck those of you who are hindmost, all the weaklings at your rear, when you were faint and exhausted, and he did not fear God. It shall be that when Hashem your God gives you rest from all your enemies all around, in the land that Hashem your God gives you as an inheritance to possess it, you shall wipe out the memory of Amalek from under the heaven. You shall not forget. The opening word here on this paragraph, that is the maftir, the extra Torah reading for this parsha of Ki Tetze, starts out zachor, remember. This should hopefully ring a bell, that this is the maftir for Shabbat Zachor, which is the Shabbos before Purim. So in a way, we are hearkening to Purim, this month of Elul, when we're actually getting ready for Rosh Hashanah. So we're going to come back to that. But we're talking about Amalek. We're talking about remembering what Amalek did to you. And what was it? So people say, when it says that he attacked the weaklings at the rear who were faint and exhausted, people think that it was the women and children and the elderly and the sick. It was not that. We're not talking about that. No Jewish encampment marches with the women and children and sick in the back with no one to protect them. Like, there's no such thing as that. It's talking about spiritual weakness. People are who were the weaklings, who had kind of lost their connection. They were dawdling, and it says they actually had gotten outside of the protection of the clouds of glory, and that the Joshua had to go out to battle, go outside the clouds of glory to bring in the spiritual stragglers, to bring them back in and to fight Amalek. Amalek attacks us when we are spiritually weak. It has nothing to do with people who are elderly, infirm, or anything like that. It has to do with spiritual weakness. And the spiritual weakness is identified at the battle beforehand, because it says the Jewish people asked, is God with us or not? They asked that question, and then it said, and Amalek came to do battle. It's like that was considered the cause and effect. So again, unfortunately, people sometimes have misinformation about what this all is talking about, that it is talking about people who are spiritually weak and had kind of fallen out of the camp. They had fallen outside. So what are we talking about here? It says the people who had succumbed to their spiritual, if you want to call it, their spiritual weaknesses, their spiritual disconnection, their complaints, whatever it is that leads us, that gets us into trouble, that's when Amalek comes and attacks that. That's the milchama, that's the battle. And the battle, interestingly, it's really quite beautiful, because you could have said that Moshe would say to Yehoshua, oh, well, they are the weaklings. They're the spiritual weaklings. If they can't even keep themselves together enough to stay within the clouds of glory, then I guess Amalek wins on them. And so we'll just move forward without them. But that is not the answer. And that's considered actually one of the main ideas and messages for us, is that we don't give up on people. We don't give up, even if somebody has fallen away, even if they are disconnected, whatever it is, even if we are disconnected, even if we've made mistakes, even if we think that we're the lost cause, we do not lose hope on anyone. So that when somebody appears to be outside, we go back and we get them back and we bring them back in. So this is kind of like a kiruv. This is like the basis of a kiruv organization. We don't let people fall through the cracks. We bring people back. And that's the message, including ourselves, that we should never give up on ourselves. When this battle takes place, it's not so easy. Let's go back in the Torah where the battle is first described, and that's going to be on page 1039. That's not right. That's not right. Hold on, let me go back. I have it's a different page. Go back to page 393. Page 393 is in Exodus, Shmot, chapter 17. Okay, I'm sorry, we're going to go back. Page 391. Change my mind. Page 391, chapter 17, verse 8. This is right after splitting of the sea. Amalek came and battled Israel and Rephidim. Moshe said to Joshua, choose people for us and go do battle with Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on top of the hill with the staff of God in my hand. Joshua did as Moses said to him to do battle with Amalek, and Moshe, Aaron, and Hur ascended to the top of the hill. It happened that when Moshe raised his hand, Israel was stronger, and when he lowered his hand, Amalek was stronger. Moshe's hands grew heavy, so they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it. And Aaron and Hur supported his hands, one on this side, one on that side, and he remained with his hands in faithful prayer until sunset. Joshua weakened Amalek and its people with the sword, with the sword's blade. It says, what was this that we hear about? This is the very famous scene. Like, what was this battle? Joshua is going to battle to help save these people who are being attacked, fighting against Amalek. And Moshe's role is to keep his hands up, but his hands grow heavy. And so Aaron, his brother, and Hur, his grandson, hold his hands up. It's like, what does that mean? First of all, it's kind of funny to picture Moshe growing weak. I mean, I know if any of us had to sit with our hands raised up for a long time, we know that after a while you can't do that. But somehow Moshe seems larger than life, and he should have been able to hold his hands up. God should have worked a miracle, and Moshe's hands stayed up. I mean, remember, when he was on Mount Sinai, he went without eating or drinking for 40 days. So that's a pretty amazing occurrence. He couldn't keep his hands up during the battle. That seems like, why shouldn't he be able to do that? Why did he specifically need Aaron and Hur holding his hands up? It says we learn something really important here. It says we talk about that when people need assistance, that they need support. But there is a difference between supporting somebody and carrying them. When we talk about why were Moshe's hands so heavy, it wasn't just that he was keeping his hands up. It was as if the weight of the Jewish people was on his hands. Now think about that is a different story than just keeping my hands up. Okay, I'm inspiring everyone by keeping my hands up, and everyone will have emunah in God, and they'll get reconnected, and we'll save everybody. That's great, but that's not enough, and that's not this scenario. This scenario is that Moshe carried the weight of the people on him, and that needs carrying rather than just support. And it took Aaron and Hur, who were also these powerful people, to hold up the Jewish people. When we think about what we need, or even thinking about like in Israel at this time, people are talking about the people need support. So it's like they need support, but they also need to literally be held up. That people, the widows of people who have died, people, families, the financial pressure, the emotional pressure, the psychological, the social, it's all too much. And so everyone's like, we have to hold these people up. It's not just enough to say, I feel really bad for you, and I wish you a lot of, this isn't the time for, I wish you a lot of success, and I wish you strength, and I wish you that. That's being supportive, but that's not holding people up. So people need to be held up, and it's not just in those dire circumstances. It's when people are spiritually struggling as well. We need to hold each other up and to feel the actual weight. And it's called, we call that sharing and carrying the yoke of our kinsmen, carrying the yoke of somebody else, so that when somebody is struggling, we carry them so that they can be restored. We don't give up on anybody. We don't give up on ourselves, and we support and uphold and carry other people. The ability to do that is that this is what enables the battle to be successful, is when people are able to be carried and supported. And that includes this. So what is here's the interesting thing. We went to the fitness center today, which was great. I just went on the treadmill for a little bit, which was wonderful. Then I'm looking at these other different machines. It says, who is strengthened the most when a person is carried? The person who is bearing the weight is the one who is strengthened. Right? The person who's bench pressing or lifting the weights, the person who's doing that work is the one who is strengthened. So if we want to strengthen ourselves, what's the best way to strengthen ourselves? Strengthen another person, to be able to help that person, because sometimes our spiritual plans for ourselves of what I need to do to grow and improve, in a way becomes very self-centered and selfish. It's like, well, I need to do this, I need to do that for me, instead of I need to grow and strengthen myself, and that growth and strengthening comes from supporting and strengthening other people. Instead of like, well, I don't have time for you because I'm working on me. So it's like, enough about you, how about me? So it was like the time of Elul is really the time to think about how can we be a source of strength to other people, because we are the ones in the end who will be strengthened by that. So the giving of tzedakah, the helping other people with their challenges, helping other people spiritually who need a lift, who need advice, who need whatever it is, help. That this is what we can do to strengthen ourselves. And Moshe in that way gives us the pattern for how can you help people come back? How can we help others? How can we help ourselves? We need to be the ones who are strengthening other people. So this we learned from Moshe, Aaron, and Hur being the ones to hold up the weight of the Jewish people, and that allowed the battle to be successful. Otherwise, it's nice to say, well, Moshe's hands were raised, and so people lifted their eyes to heaven. That's nice. But it's not the same thing as holding up the weight of the Jewish people and the weightiness of people who have fallen. So we're going to see more of that in our parsha of Ki-Tetze. So let's go back to that, and let's take a look at some other examples of what we're talking about when we talk about people who have kind of, you could say, fallen on hard times, spiritually, emotionally, whatever it might be. So let's take a look at, let's see, page 1049. So this is back in Parsha Ki-Tetze, page 1049, chapter 22, verse 1. You shall not see the ox of your brother or his sheep or goat cast off and hide yourself from them. You shall surely return them to your brother. If your brother is not near you and you do not know him, then gather it inside your house, and it shall remain with you until your brother inquires after it and you return it to him. So shall you do for his donkey, so shall you do for his garment, so shall you do for any lost article of your brother that may become lost from him, and you find it, you shall not hide yourself. On the surface, this is about returning lost objects. But notice what it says. You have to make a big effort. You have to if you find something, you have to take care of it until your brother inquires after it. And what's the main idea is you cannot hide yourself from the needs of other people. It's like, and what happens? It's sad enough if somebody loses a garment or their donkey or whatever, but what about they lost themselves? What if they lost their way? We literally talk about people who have lost their way and they have slipped off the derech, off the path, and they are not in a negative place spiritually, emotionally. We have to help bring them back, and we can't pretend that we don't see it. It's like, oh, I didn't really see anything. So opening our eyes to the needs of others, it says that this is returning. This is all the things like you need to go out of your comfort zone and see what is going on with other people and returning things that are lost, including of someone's lost neshama that they lost track of. And verse 4 on the next page, page 1051, you shall not see the donkey of your brother or of his ox falling on the road and hide yourself from them. You shall surely stand them up with him. So if somebody is falling, it's like you have to help them. We have to help other people. So again, all these things are about going out of our way to see the needs of other people and literally shouldering responsibility. The next thing we'll see is, let's see, hold on. We're going, this is also of a, page 1057, about taking interest. Chapter 23, verse 20. You shall not cause your brother to take interest of money or interest of food, interest of anything that he may take as interest. You can cause a Gentile to take interest, but not your brother, so that Hashem your God will bless you in your every undertaking on the land to which you are coming to possess it. It says we cannot charge interest to fellow Jewish people. It's perfectly fine to charge interest to a Gentile. Everyone knows that money is a resource, and you charge for resources. It's like the cost, like you would charge rent for a house. So you can charge rent, which is interest, for the use of money. but not to your brother. So who is it who needs this money? Is somebody who is needy, who is financially fallen on hard times. So we're supposed to give loans to them. We're supposed to help them stand back up on their feet. So whether someone is falling emotionally, financially, physically, in every way, shape, and form, our concern going outside and looking at the needs of other people, that is the path to our spiritual growth and greatness. And again, we'd like to think that it was something more self-inner directed. And this parsha is saying, Ki tetzei lemilchama, you're going to go out to this battle, because part of the battle is to become less self-absorbed and more focused on the needs of other people. And it's very easy to become judgmental about why other people have needs. Well, the reason they are failing financially is because they did whatever business-wise, or the reason they're falling this way is because they bought a crummy donkey, or they invested poorly. We can always have a lot of excuses and explanations of why other people are doing poorly. And guess what? We don't even ask, we don't make those comments or judgments. It's like our response is, how can I help? What can I do to help? Now, the other person does have to do something. So I just want to point that out, that it says when the donkey is falling, it says you shall help with them. So they can't just sit on the side of the road and say, can you just get my donkey up, please? And then they sit there. So the person who needs the help must participate in to their ability and in any way they can. So this isn't that we become a doormat for people who are irresponsible. It means that we help people who are interested in helping themselves, but that we go out of our way to do it. Each of these ideas is about, again, going out to see that this is how the war is fought. The month of Elul is considered the time when we make special efforts to do this, to see what's happening. And I'm guessing that most of you are receiving mailings and emails from different organizations that are designed to help people with various needs, and that they are asking specifically during the month of Elul that it's considered a segula. It's a good omen for a good judgment for ourselves. Why is that? It's because we aren't perfect. We have shortcomings, we have failings also. And what do we want from Hashem when we get to Rosh Hashanah? Is we want a judgment that is like, you helped other people who were down and out in any way, shape, or form. I will also give you a good judgment, because you also, I'm talking to myself, you also are down and out and have not lived up to the expectations and are failing in lots of different ways, and I will also help you. So it is, you could say, it still is, and I won't say self-centered, it is for our benefit that we do these things, because it is a midah keneged midah, it is a measure for measure response from Hashem. Okay, let's go back to our captive woman and explore about her. So we're going back to the beginning of Ki Tetzei, going out to this battle. And what are you going to see in this battle? This woman. And you will see, this is back on page 1047, chapter 21, verse 11. And you will see among the captivity a woman who is beautiful of form, and you will desire her, and you may take her to yourself for a wife. You shall bring her to the midst of your house. She shall shave her head and let her nails grow. She shall remove the garment of her captivity from upon herself, and sit in your house, and she shall weep for her father and her mother for a full month. Thereafter you may come to her and live with her, and she shall be a wife to you. But it shall be that if you do not desire her, then you shall send her on her way. You may not sell her for money. You shall not enslave her, because you have afflicted her. So we're talking first about who is this woman. So on the surface, we have to know that when the Jewish people went out to battle against their enemies, just like today, these different nations would use women as part of their military strategy. The women would dress up, they would be on the battlefield, and their role was just like it is today, to entrap the soldiers and either get information from them, like in espionage, or at least to weaken them and distract them and keep them from their goals, their military goals. So these women were not like innocent women sitting in their homes. These were women who were out there and who were part of the battle strategy. We learned from last week that the men who went out to battle were considered the tzaddikim of the tzaddikim, the most righteous of people. They were not like the lower levels of people. They were the most righteous of people. So the question is, what is one of these righteous men doing being attracted to one of these women from these idolatrous nations? What's the attraction? So you could say, you're at war and there's women and all these things. Like, no, these men were out there and they were attracted to this woman because they saw something in her that was beautiful. And it says specifically that she was beautiful of form and you will desire her. And the word that is used in Hebrew is Yafat Torah, beautiful of form. So we have to ask ourselves, who else in the Torah is described as being of beautiful form and beautiful looking? So who comes to mind that we know is described in that way? You can unmute whoever wants to end. Dorothy.
Oh, I thought Rachel. No.
Rachel, absolutely. And not only Rachel, who else is described as beautiful? Sarah is described as beautiful.
Sarah,
and
right, of course.
Is described as beautiful.
Esther. How about Yosef?
Yosef, exactly. Yosef is described as beautiful, and Rivka is described as beautiful. So both, and I went through we won't go through and look at all of them, but I went through to check everybody out because I thought I know these women were listed. So Sarah is called Yifat Mar'eh, which means beautiful of appearance. Rivka is called Tovat Mar'eh, also lovely of how she looked. Rachel is called Yafat Toar v'Yafat Mar'eh, that she is both beautiful form and beautiful looking. And Joseph is described the same as Rachel. Yafei Toar v'Yafei Mar'eh, that he is also beautiful. And why are these people? These are our matriarchs, and Yosef comes the closest to becoming a patriarch. It goes Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and then as we know, Joseph is one of the shepherds in the mystical tree of life, that it's Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, then Joseph is on there. So he's kind of quasi patriarch, not quite there, but he's listed in there. Why are these people called a beautiful form and appearance? Like, why are we talking about how they look? And in every case, we're talking about because the way they looked was also indicative of something special about their inner beauty. So when it says that these men saw a woman who was a Yafat Toar, they're like, I see somebody who has not just, I love her lipstick and how she did her hair. It's like, I'm seeing somebody who has an internal beauty and I'm attracted to that because I am a tzaddik. And it's like, there is a connection there that is felt in a physical way as well, but it's not just physical. However, because we don't totally trust ourselves to be totally objective, because we are subjective, the Torah says, don't go so fast. Maybe this person is that, and maybe she's not. So you can take her and bring her, and how do you see whether it's the real deal or not? Like, we're going to diminish the part that's the physical external beauty to see if the internal neshama of this person is really someone who is meant to join the Jewish people. Because there was just something on Aish, I think it was on Aish, about somebody who was like convicted somebody who turned into an Orthodox Jew. It's like, how does that happen? Like, how does somebody who's like on such a bad place end up in the good place? It's like, because people can grow and change and we don't give up on anyone. So there is this woman, is she for real or is she not for real? So you're going to bring her to your home and then you're going to shave her head because probably her hair did look really pretty. You're going to shave her head, her nails are going to grow. She's going to take off her clothes, whatever her enticing clothes were, whatever outfit she was wearing that was maybe seductive or whatever. And you're going to put on some nice sneas, shell and a skirt and, have her sit in your house. And you're going to put her in the midst of a Jewish home and you're going to see what happens. and you'll see for 30 days. And if this is really meant to work out, it'll reveal itself in 30 days. And if this isn't meant to be, then you let her go. And you don't keep her in a basement. You don't keep her in a tunnel. You don't keep her, you don't oppress her. You bring her into your family and have her sit at the Shabbos meal and help make challah. Okay, you bring her in and see, is this resonating for you? Did I see the right person here? And that was the situation. So that's what this is talking about just on the surface. However, our sages say, who is this woman, this captive woman? It says, it's really a reference to our neshama. It says our neshama is of beautiful appearance. Our neshama is pure and beautiful, and it has been taken captive by who or what? By the Yetzer Hara, and by the klippas, and by the things, the gunk that gets attached to us. And this poor neshama is trying to get back home. And she's attaching herself to a tzaddik. But who's the tzaddik? Is like, we're the tzaddik. We're the tzaddik. And my neshama, this part of my neshama that has been taken captive, and it got off track. And what's going to happen? For 30 days, we're going to immerse this captive neshama, and we're going to try to strip away the klippas, the shells of the things that have gotten her off track, and like the barnacles that have attached to her, and get her reconnected to her true source. These 30 days are called the 30 days of Elul. It says the 30 days of Elul are when we bring our neshama and we say, come back home. I found you on the battlefield. You were out there, you were captured by the Yetzer Hara, took you captive, and I found you and I'm bringing you home, and I'm going to put you in a healthy environment, and I'm going to reconnect you to your true self. But here's something fascinating. It says that this captive woman is going to cry for 30 days. It says she's going to cry for a full month. She shall weep for her father and her mother. So two different opinions. One is she's going to cry for her father, Hashem, and her mother, the Shekhinah, the divine presence, that she betrayed them. She's going to cry out of regret for what she's done. Like we say, we have harata, we have regret for the things that we've done wrong and how we've gone off track. It says we're going to cry. But there's another fascinating understanding which says we're going to cry over what we're going to give up. It says that why did we get sucked into the Yetzer Hara anyways? Because we enjoyed it. So I enjoyed the Lashon Hara. It made me feel like I was really somebody, had a lot of social currency. I enjoyed the cheeseburger. I enjoyed the shrimp cocktail. I enjoyed the, dressing provocatively. It was fun. It was exciting. It says, I'm going to actually cry over what I'm giving up, because it's hard to let go of something that is unhealthy. We think like, well, of course, why would anybody want to do anything wrong? It's like, because it's enjoyable. If it wasn't enjoyable, you think I would have been doing it to start with? We don't do things like that. We do things that have some sort of emotional, physical, psychic payoff for us. And if I'm going to give that up, you know what? I am going to cry over it. So this is like a detox program. It's like, why is it when people go to for a chemical detox, they go to what's it called? Whatever, if you're addicted to something.
Rehab.
Yes, rehab. You go to rehab, is getting a person through detox where they really have to give up that is very painful. And it's really hard because there was pleasure. So people have described like some drugs, the pleasure that it gives them is like, it's an incredible pleasure. Yes, it's destroying them, but there's an incredible pleasure. So I'm going to cry over that pleasure that is lost. And that's a reality. And we have to realize that. And so our rabbis actually tell us we need to do something. There is a practical guidelines. It says, if you're going to give up something that gives you pleasure, you could admit that it does give you pleasure. And we need to find something else that is kosher that gives us the same pleasure. So if it's a physical pleasure, an emotional pleasure, we have to find something to substitute. Otherwise, we will fall back because we'll feel deprived. And what do people do when they feel deprived? they go off the wagon. It's like you need to find something that is going to give you the same amount of pleasure. So it says, be very careful. Like some people say, like, okay, I'm giving up chocolate. So it's like, be very careful. Chocolate gives a lot of pleasure. What are you going to do in its place? Do you have something else you're going to do? Don't do that to yourself because you will fall. So bring your neshama, bring yourself into a healthy environment, but you have to find a place where you can find the pleasure, because it is something that we're going to lose. People have said, I stopped speaking Lashon Hara and my friends aren't really talking to me anymore because I'm no fun to be around. Okay, I don't eat non-kosher food anymore, so I'm missing all of these different activities where people are going out to restaurants that are non-kosher restaurants, and I feel like I'm left out. I don't dress in such a way, and so like all the outfits that are looking really whatever, like I'm not wearing that anymore. Like I'm missing out. So that's true, and we have to admit that, and we have to cry over that and find a replacement. So it's very interesting. I've noticed it especially in Israel, and also in other religious communities. The parents who are smart parents make a very big effort to find beautiful clothing for their daughters. Because if it's not going to be whatever the latest short thing with people's behinds hanging out from under their hems that people are wearing, it's like it has to be beautiful so that the girls feel special. It cannot be that you're going to be dressed and feel like a shmata. It's not going to work. And especially for the teenage girls, the 16, 17-year-old girls, actually starting at bat mitzvah age, it's not going to work. So finding things like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to find kosher ways to have the pleasure that I am going to be giving up when I give up my Lashon Hara, I give up my non-kosher, I give up my whatever. It's got to be, we have to find a way. He says, this is how we treat the captive woman so that she has half a chance, our neshama, of coming back on track with ourselves for the month of Elul. Thoughts, ideas, anything here to help us? Patricia, yes.
I'm going back a little bit, but I was kind of thinking when you were talking about Moshe standing on the mountain when Amalek attacked and Joshua going to battle. It kind of also seems to foreshadow the end when Moshe can only see Israel from the mountain and Joshua goes in. I don't know if that connects or anything, but
beautiful. I'm sure it does. I don't know, but I love the observation. I love the question. I don't have an answer. But Joshua is the one who fights the battle. It's almost as if Moshe is, I'm going to say, too lofty to be down on the battlefield. He has a different role.
And
because
old.
we call him, old has nothing to, unfortunately, old has nothing to do with it. At the time, he's only 80 years old. He's not that old. So since he lived to 120, and it said even at 120 that he had not lost any of his vigor. Yehoshua is the person who is on the ground. Moshe is Moshe Rabbeinu. He is our teacher. And the person who's the teacher is also not necessarily the person who leads in battle. What we do find, and we found in last week's parsha, is that that when they went out to battle, that the Kohen would address the people, would address the men. It says, it doesn't say the general, it says the Kohen would come. It's like, why did the Kohen come? It's like, because the people needed spiritual strengthening, to not be afraid, to be able to go out and do the battle. And that we could say the same thing as, I'm going out to do battle against my Yetzer Hara. I need spiritual strategies. Again, I'll recommend this Battle Plans book by Sarah Yocheved Riegler and Rebbetzin Heller, as far as strategies for dealing with my spiritual challenges, which are, everyone has their own version of them, but there's just basic ones that people have, whether it is in seeking honor, being selfish, lashon hara, being ungrateful, all of these things. This is like the human condition, and everybody has their own version and piece in there. But I love your question, Patricia, as far as Moshe and with Yehoshua being on the ground, because he's the one. It's interesting. I said to somebody, I told you that Dahlia's expecting, and I'm like, well, I have a name for this baby. Not that anyone's asking me, but I would really like either Yehoshua or Shmuel, Joshua or Samuel, because those are the incredible leaders of our people, and we really need that spiritual energy now. And so I'd like to see a Yehoshua or a Shmuel.
Did you say she's expecting?
Yes, Bezrat Hashem, B'Sha'at Tovah.
Oh
She's
my
expecting.
gosh. A
Middle
baby
of-
boy? I guess because you're saying Yeshua.
No. We don't know. Nobody knows what they're having. I'm just
Oh.
saying if it's a boy, that's the name. I'm not going to say anything to them, and don't tell her that I said this. I would never say this, but in my little head, I would like one of those names. Anyway, because I'm like, oh, after learning the book of Yehoshua, and he was such an incredible leader, and he was a Torah scholar, and he was a teacher, and he was a military commander, and he held the Jewish people together. People did not rebel the whole time that Yehoshua was living. Everybody was like all together. It was amazing. So like we need that. So he was a person who, it said that he understood people, and he was the one to go out and fight and retrieve the Jewish people who were on the margin. And that is, that's such a apt thing. So whether we're talking about going out and retrieving ourselves, retrieving other people who are lost, that this is the goal of the month of Elul, is to rescue those who are like on the fringe. It would even be the same thing, because we talk about also in this parsha is about Yibum, about the, let's see if I can find it quickly. Yeah, I'm not sure I can find it quickly. No, we'll talk about it. Anyway, that we know the name of the book and the authors of the book about challenges. It's called Battle Plans, and it's by Sarah Yocheved Riegler and Rebbetzin Tzipora Heller. And it is an Art Scroll publication. So I'm sure it's still in print. It's a great book. That a man who dies without having had a child, and then his wife marries his brother or closest male relative in order to bring is considered really to bring the deceased back into the world, almost like as a reincarnation of the deceased brother. Says that this is also the same idea of going out to do something for your brother, to bring him back, to bring him into the world. So there's so many things in this parsha of Ki-Tetzei that are about retrieving things that have been lost or things that didn't go as planned. And whether it is to go out to bring the lost souls back in the captive woman, whether it is the person who lost their donkey, or they lost their money, or they lost their way, or they didn't have the child, all these things, like what do we do for all these things, that all these situations that are on the fringe? It says when we busy ourselves with that we will strengthen ourselves and strengthen the Jewish people. So then there's one more thing for us to talk about, which is the mitzvah, which I love this mitzvah. It is the mitzvah to make a fence when you have a new home, when you build a home, and if you have an exposed roof. Hold on one second, a protective fence. This is on page 1051. Page 1051, chapter 22, and it says verse 8. Chapter 22, verse 8, page 1051. If you build a new house, you shall make a fence for your roof so that you will not place blood in your house if a fallen one falls from it. This sounds like a zoning law. What's this doing in the middle of the parsha? That if you build a new house and you have a flat roof, which in the Middle East people did, that you have to put up a fence. You have to put up a fence so that nobody falls. It's like, I needed the Torah to tell me this. It's like, again, just good zoning. So it says, yes, because what this is talking about, again, on a different level, is what does it mean to build a new house? It says, when you are involved and engaged during the month of Elul, and you are looking for spiritual growth and to create the new you, that's called building a new home. I'm building the, how do you say, I'm building the new me. The new improved me is called building a new house. What's the challenge of taking on new things, a new mitzvah or a new whatever that's going to be the new and improved me? It says, be careful. A person who sets their sights high on something new is great, but there is a danger. And what's the danger? The danger is that you're going to fall off the wagon, that you are going to not be successful. Why? Because you didn't build a protective fence around what you're doing. So think about it again. Somebody who has an alcohol addiction, they build a fence around dealing with their alcoholism by not going to events where alcohol is served. Or if they have to be at an event, you have a plan of where you're going to stand in the room, and you're not going to stand at the bar and hope that your resolve and your plan to be this new person is going to work, because it's not going to work. So there have to be fences put in place for any new resolution or anything new that we're going to do in order to protect us from falling off. Same thing for a diet. If you're going to say, I'm not going to eat sweets at parties, then either you leave before the dessert is served, or you don't stand near the dessert table, or you plan already, I'm going to take, a glass of water and a huge plate of fruit, so that I'm going to be completely busy eating my watermelon and cantaloupe and pineapple, and I won't have a chance to look at, the truffles. Then you have to have a plan, and that plan is called a fence. I'm not going to be speaking Lashon Hara, so how's that going to happen? Well, I have friends that do speak a lot of Lashon Hara. They're really nice people, but they're going to bring me down. I need to create distance between myself and those people. Otherwise, I'm going to be sucked in. It says we have to realize that we are vulnerable. And it's interesting the way the language works here is it says, so that you will not place blood in your house if a fallen one falls from it. What does that mean? A fallen one falls from it. What does that mean? The person's already fallen? It's like, no, that's us. We are the ones who are vulnerable. That's called a person who is a fallen one. It's like, don't get carried away with what you think your spiritual level is, that there need to be fences. And it's not considered a detraction from our greatness. It says that tzaddikim also put up fences. They also put up fences for themselves, so as not to put themselves into tempting places. We know that the laws of yichud, of a man and a woman who are not married to each other and are not immediate blood relatives, are not supposed to be alone in a room together or in a home together. And this doesn't matter if you could be the greatest rabbi and the greatest righteous woman. It doesn't matter. There's human nature, and we put up a fence to protect ourselves. So it's interesting, just speaking of fences. I sent in my email, for those who saw it, the pictures of this new, really beautiful snack cafe place that opened up at the top of this mountain in our neighborhood, like just right up the street from us. And we had wanted our grandkids to come with us to this place while they stayed with us, and it didn't work out. So when Steve and I went, I said, oh my gosh, I am so glad we did not bring our grandchildren up here, because there is some fencing around the cliffs, but not total. And there is an opening with, you could call them stairs if you want, but they are like little cutouts in the rock of the mountain going down at an angle like this. And I'm like, I have some grandsons who would be like, oh, I'm going to go down there. And I'm like, oh my God. And the 2.5-year-old, he would have been like, oh, what's this? I would have been completely beside myself, because they wouldn't have been standing near the fence. They would have been standing where the opening to the fence. I'm like, I couldn't even get near it. It just made me dizzy to be right near this cliff. So I hope I don't know what they're doing. Anyway, I'm like, I think we'll just bring the granddaughters and not the grandsons here, because I will go crazy. So fences are good, and fences are required, and they're required for all different circumstances. We need to take protective measures. But then it says something interesting. It says, so that you will not place blood in your house if a fallen one falls from it. It's like, why would you have blood in your house? It says, if a fallen one falls from it, it says, a fence has to be done carefully. That a fence has to also represent what we are ready to deal with as a fence. What if the fence was that I said to my grandchildren, here, just come to me and I'm going to wrap you like in like one of those children's leashes, and I'm just going to chain you to the fence. And so you're not going to come within like 100 yards of this area. That's like only asking for trouble. It says when we put up a fence that is too restrictive on us, then we are going to hurt ourselves, and then we're going to break through the fence. So a person who says, I'm not eating chocolate, so therefore I'm not going to any simcha for the rest of my life because they always serve chocolate. It's like, don't do that. That kind of offense is unrealistic and unproductive, and you're going to end up going to the party, you're going to stand there and you're going to drink the stuff from the chocolate, whatever, because you're going to be so crazed over what you did to yourself. So the fence itself has to be done thoughtfully of how am I going to do this in a way that makes sense for me, that protects me, that doesn't provoke me, that doesn't make me feel deprived, that makes me feel protected and enabled to achieve my goals. It says that this is what we're trying to do, that when you build this new house during the month of Elul and you want to achieve this new level is amazing, but make sure you protect yourself, but protect yourself in a way that's going to really work. So if anybody wants to talk about those things, we can talk about them when I'm in Denver or throughout the month if you have any questions or want to think about it, because it's true for everybody. Sometimes people think that if I was really such a tzaddik, I wouldn't need all these things. I wouldn't need all this support to help me achieve my goals. This is a person who is a chacham, a person who is smart, realizes what's really necessary, because this is a milchama. This is a battle, and the battle will go to the one who is wise in the way they approach it. A person who doesn't realize that it's a battle is going to fall. So we need to know that this is ki tetzei lemilchama. You're going out against oivecha, against your enemy, and the enemy is the Yetzer Hara. And when we figure that out and realize that, then we will be successful, and Hashem will deliver that into our hands. We have the 30 days of the Yafat Toar, the beautiful neshama that has been taken over by other forces to bring her back in, take off the clothing, take off the external. Remember, the clothing is external. It's about the things that are outside. That our wrongdoing, our misdeeds, all of those things are considered external to who we really are. We take off that clothing, we cut the hair. The hair is considered like the connection to whatever it is we're connected to. Cut off that hair, get back to the basics of who we really are, and we will see that we really have a soul that is a Yafat Toar, a beautiful neshama that is waiting to remarry, ready to come back into connection with ourselves and with Hashem, so that we will be ready for the new year, which we will build a bayit chadash, a new home, our new selves for the new year, built with fence and protection and beautiful fence, not something that is going to be, 4,000 feet high. That something is going to be the right fence to protect all of our efforts in our endeavors so that we can be successful. So God willing, we will do that. I want to wish you all a beautiful Shabbos. And next Wednesday, we will not have class. I'll be flying to Denver. And Thursday's class will not be on Zoom because Baruch Hashem, we have a nice number of people who are coming, and I'm going to be standing up and moving around and not within here.
Can you record it though? Because I have a doctor's appointment.
I know you have an appointment. I will see if I'm sure that they have a recorder there at the Jewish Experience, and I will try to remember in my flusteredness of seeing everybody to ask for the recorder and actually turn it on.
What time is the class and what time is the lunch?
The class will be from 11 to 12, and then lunch will be right after that. And we're allowing 12 to 2 for schmoozing and other words of whatever, and also for anybody to get to meet Gila Ross, if you haven't met her yet, the
We
new
haven't.
head. So she's really lovely and wonderful.
Lovely.
She's the new Rebbitzin for the women's experience.
Oh, okay. And so at 10 o'clock is the class doesn't start at 10 or
No,
does?
No,
11.
10 to 11 is coffee and schmoozing,
Okay,
because
great.
there's no way I could walk in at 5 of 11 with all of the
Right.
wonderful people and hug and kiss you in 5 minutes and start a class. So
Exactly.
impossible. So from 10 to 11 is going to be coffee schmoozing
Open-ended. Okay.
and kissing. And then at 11 o'clock, we will start our class from 11 to
Wonderful.
12.
I'll see you at 10.
Wonderful.
What day?
This is
I'm
next
sorry.
Thursday, the
The
19th.
19th.
If you haven't RSVP'd, please do with the email that I sent out last night.
I did.
You can RSVP, and because Cheryl Lee Band would like to get a account so that we're all set.
Yeah,
And
I
This
did.
is on Thursday, not Shabbos.
No,
not
no.
Shabbos, no,
Okay,
not Shabbos.
okay.
Thursday the 19th.
Thursday the 19th lunch.
And then, Ellen, I'm so sorry. How you have it? Riegler, Riegler.
Yes, I believe so.
And what's the second one? Sipora what?
Heller, Heller.
And she has a few books, right? You have it.
She does. This one they wrote together.
Battle Plans. And what other books do you love from you have it?
I can't think of them offhand. You can
Okay.
see them. She's a wonderful writer.
Yeah.
I love everything that she's written. She's
but
like
Battle Plans is your favorite?
it's not necessarily my favorite. It's the most appropriate for this time of year.
Right.
As
It fits with the parasha.
it's not so much the parsha, a month of Elul. It is about creating your strategy for spiritual growth. And it's like you have to have a plan, and you need to know that there is an adversary that and that there is a milchama. There is a milchama, and so you need to have a strategy. And so they discuss it of what your challenge is, and then give very specific things to do and suggestions. And it's, as I said, it's done, I think it's humorous and humble. So the humor and the humility that is in it and the practical suggestions I find really helpful.
Yeah,
So-
you already helped us a lot about the starry diet. But also I'm very thankful that you talked about the beautiful woman again, because people that are not Jewish write on social media that I'm not on, like how, I don't know how to say it, like they see it terrible, like if you read it literally, right? It sounds very cruel.
Yeah, well, they don't know what
Very.
they're talking about. Ignorance
Exactly.
that's totally ignorant. And even on the surface of what the Yafat Toar was a, people are always looking for something to pin on the Jewish people, and you can take something out of context with no
Exactly.
understanding. And, we've talked about that even in this current war of, the Arabs saying, that the IDF men are raping Palestinian women, and like, oh, no, actually they're not.
Why do they say that? It's not true.
Because that's what they're doing. And so they're trying to make Israel and the Jews look bad. And then they said the opposite. This was
It's
a
lying.
Jewish woman who wrote a paper at the Hebrew University for which she got some award, that the reason that IDF doesn't rape women is because they're racist. That they,
What?
yeah.
Why? What? Sorry,
They're
what did
so
you-
they're
I
so
don't-
illogical, and it's a death religion.
Yes,
And
it is.
they try to do everything to smear, and there are people who actually believe this, that the IDF is raping
As I
Arab
said,
women.
they believe that, and then they also believe the opposite. As I said, this woman wrote a paper at Hebrew University, and she got an award for it with her conclusion that the reason they don't rape is because they're racist, and they have such contempt for the Palestinian women that they don't even deign to rape them. First of all,
It's disgusting.
it is so revolting. The whole thing is, yeah. So anyway,
Ridiculous. It's so
when there are people,
ridiculous.
when there are people who want to come to a conclusion, all I can say is people will believe what they want to believe. And if somebody
Mhm.
really wants real information, there's plenty of good information out there. But if you have somebody who doesn't want to hear it and they've already come to their conclusion, there's nothing you can tell them.
Absolutely.
There-
No,
Thing
you're
you
right.
can tell them to come. And this is not, I'm talking about, you know, American
Exactly.
college students as well. A lot of these people they already believe what they want to believe, and you cannot tell them any differently.
And
There are
their
people who are open.
education has nothing to do with it. It's their either that or they've been raised in a certain mindset too. So
It's-
you never know.
There are
It's
many
ridiculous.
different explanations, but it's all bizarre and
Right.
horrific. And the
Yes.
main thing is we need to know the truth. And that's the most important thing, because after a while, your head can kind of start getting turned by thinking, if all these people think this, like, is there really something to it? Am I the one that is like out of touch with reality? So the main thing is for us to keep our heads screwed on, facing straight, and know what we're talking about. And that's half of it. And all these other people, is like, we cannot control all of this. And people say, oh, Israel needs better hasbara and blah, blah, blah. It's like, it has nothing to do with hasbara, with their PR. People believe what they want to believe. There's plenty of stuff about all the great things that Israel does. But if, when people talk about the, LGBTQ, whatever, that in Israel that people are accepted. So the Arab response to that, it's called pinkwashing. It's like, oh, so you're hiding behind your treatment of gays and lesbians to cover up your mistreatment of the Palestinians. I'm like, if you're going to take everything and twist it into something else, there's really no conversation to be had. So until there's somebody who actually wants to have a conversation, there is no conversation to have. And it just baits us and makes us be defensive. It's crazy.
So
Well,
there's no point to, yeah.
They some Arab gay men come to Israel
Yes, they do.
sneak into Israel
Yes.
because if
They don't
somebody
want to-
has told on them if they go back to their town or village or whatever, they will be murdered.
Yes, they will.
Easily. They will have their heads cut off, like what the
Yes.
Arabs did to the Jews. So it
Yes.
isn't like they're not for gays or anything like that. It's a different story, but the way they twist things, and like you said, when people believe what they believe, there's no telling them unless they want to know differently. And if they
Right.
don't want to know differently, then you can't do
You
anything.
can't tell. Yeah. So
No.
again,
Thank you, Ellen.
we have to make sure we know the truth. Andy, you had a
Yes.
question about what the word milchama, was that your question? Milchama means war. It means a battle. Ki tetzeh milchama, when you go out to battle. So that's what we were talking about, is the battle against the Yetzer Hara, against Amalek. Amalek is the personification of the Yetzer Hara. And we need to know that Amalek strikes when we are weak. The Yetzer Hara likes us when we're weak. People talk about, we didn't talk about this, but in all the studies they've done about willpower, when someone says they don't have willpower, you notice people tend to have willpower in the morning. Like when they first wake up and are rested, and after they have breakfast or whatever, that they're not hungry, they're not tired, they're not overwhelmed, they're not under pressure, then our willpower is there. When we say we don't have willpower, what it means is it's like a muscle, and it gets fatigued. And so when it's like at the end of the day, so I saw somebody who they said their diet. So they had their diet: breakfast, low-fat yogurt, fruit, and mineral water. And then lunch was, whole wheat bread sandwich with vegetables.
Avocado, yeah.
And then in the afternoon, it was like a milkshake. And then 10 o'clock at night, a carton of ice cream. It's like, how did that happen? was like, because by the end of the day, you're tired. And so our energy is drained and our willpower's energy loses power. It's not that we don't have it, it's just that it's tired. So you'll see, like in the different strategies that they talk about, when are we vulnerable? When we're tired, when we're overwhelmed, when we are hungry, and that's when we lose steam, and then those things kind of start creeping into our environment. So part of it is, don't let yourself get tired, don't let yourself get overwhelmed, don't let yourself get hungry. What people even have coined the term being hangry. It's like the combination of hungry and angry. It's like those things go hand in hand. It's like when we're stressed, exactly, 30 to 40 stress hormones rise when we are stressed and going to sleep too late, like me. So it's like, this is not good. So we have to have a strategy for keeping ourselves so that our willpower has the power that we need, and that it takes an effort. So again, we can go back to Moshe with Aaron and Hur. Is even a great tzaddik such as Moshe's carries, like, where do you get the strength from? It's like, it has to come from someplace, and he couldn't rest, but he had others then to help him. So sometimes we are overwhelmed. It's very easy to say, well, just don't get overwhelmed and stressed. It's like, I'm sorry, the situation I'm in is overwhelming and stressful. So what am I supposed to do with that? It's like, well, then I need outside forces to help me, because you can't save yourself. If you are drowning, you cannot save yourself. You need somebody to come and help you. And the help that we give to other people will strengthen us in addition to strengthening them. So Moshe was strengthened by the strength that he gave to the Jewish people. It says he was very strong. We know that he and Aaron were extremely strong, physically strong people, that when they consecrated the Levites, I think 22,000, they lifted them up physically and waved them around, all these like big men, and waved them around. I was like, who does that? Like bodybuilders? Like, where did they get that strength? They got strong from being strong and lifting other people. So just like you get strong by lifting weights, you don't get strong by like, I want to keep my strength, so I'm not going to lift anything. It's like, that's how you get weak. Okay, strength comes from using strength to lift something that is heavy. So the heaviness is the heaviness of other people around us who have heavy burdens that we are here to help them lift up. So God willing, we will be strengthened. Hashem oz li'amo yitain. Hashem will give us the strength in order to strengthen us, to strengthen others. And that is ultimately where we get that. Have a wonderful Shabbos. God willing.
Amen.
Thank you. Everyone,
Yasher
the
Koach. That was
hostages should be
beautiful.
And the
rescued
hostages
today.
should be released.
Nesiat Tova, Ellen.
Toda, thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm so happy for that. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. How young is she now?
She'll be, Bezrat Hashem, she and Benjamin will both be 40 in January.
Yeah, I'll pray that everything goes smoothly. How many weeks is she, when is she due?
She's due like the middle of November.
Oh, that's really soon.
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. And
Wonderful.
She's doing okay.
She's doing okay. She's, as she said, she's almost 40. So, and this
Hard.
is God willing, number 7. So this is.
Oh my God, that's completion, tell her.
Yep.
7 is completion.
So that's
right.
Everyone be well.
Yeah, she has that. They have a 2.5-year-old who he'll be 3 during Sukkot.
David, right?
Yeah, so he's very cute, but he's 2.5.
You're going to be busy too.
Yes, that's why we're going back. We want to make sure to be able to help out. Because, now that the David Hillel, the 2.5-year-old, soon to be 3, is in Gan, so they're done like I think he comes home at 1:50 in the morning, in the afternoon. So at 10:02, he's home then for the rest of the day, and it's too late to nap. So basically it's entertaining him from 2 until whatever, 7:30 till he goes to bed. And just like our willpower is kind of going down in the afternoon slump, a 3-year-old is who would love to go sleep, but then is going to be up until midnight. So to keep him up and to keep him active and to keep him happy until it's time to go to bed.
From our experience, it's the opposite. If Lev doesn't get a nap, it's much worse the night. It's much better sleep at night if you get a nap. Maybe not too long and not too late.
Well, the
But-
problem is by 2 o'clock and
Yeah,
they
it's
come
a
home
little
to have
late, yeah.
lunch. that
No,
it's
you're
too-
right. 11:30, 12:30. You're right. That's when we try.
Yeah.
Has
So,
to
but
be
he's not
earlier.
hungry.
Yeah,
That's when
you're
he's in
totally
gone, and at gone they don't do naps.
No. Oh, really?
Yeah.
He want
It's like,
soup also.
okay, so that's when we're
Yeah.
gonna go and be out there and help them is in the afternoon.
Have a wonderful dinner, and we'll think of you tomorrow night at the Jewish Experience. We'll miss you.
Thank you. Enjoy. I'm sure it's
See
gonna be a
you next
wonderful
week.
event.
Thank you for coming, especially to Denver. Thank you so much. I have to run. I have an appointment, so sorry. And then
Okay. I'm gonna-
very sadly, I don't know if you know, I have also a funeral. I'll do it on Zoom because I'm teaching right after Hani Gesundheit passed away. Do you know her?
Oh.
Terrible, terrible, terrible. We're
Oh,
like
I'm
devastated.
so sorry.
Yeah, she 8 to 9 months struggling and needed a hip replacement. They didn't give her the okay because of the kidneys. Finally, after months, they gave it, and it didn't go well. But then she was in rehab, and she was crying every time she talked to me, really saying, "Please pray for me." What was not her language ever, and she wasn't answering me. She's on our list and on Mini and HEA all the time, and I'm like, does anyone have heard back? Because not David, the husband, not her answer me already for a while. So I was very worried already. And it turned out she had a wound in the ankle that didn't heal. But the reason she died is a heart failure. The heart gave in.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's so sad. It will be a huge funeral. I wish I could go in person, but I have to teach also. So thank God it's a Zoom funeral. So I have to run now to make the other appointment earlier, and it's boom, boom, boom today. But they told us on Zoom Minion, we have live Minion and Zoom option. And I just tried to cry. I was about to say the Cholim list, and I just couldn't because I was like, why is she not answering me? But of course, she was in the hospital on and off, on and off. I saw the kids by chance and the father going into HEA to talk to the rabbi. And I got the story. So it's just too young. What do you think she was? Our age? I don't know.
I think so.
Yeah. Like,
I don't know. It's
I
actually
think
been a
so.
long time since I saw her.
yeah,
I'm
the
so
heart,
sorry
the
to hear
heart
that.
couldn't anymore. Yeah. And my friend actually was her classmate, and she told me that it ran in the family genetically, the obesity and the heart, it's hard. So that's one of the reasons I said, no more postponing my diet. I gained like 6 pounds. It's not terrible, but it's hard to lose them now. And that's before the Chagim. You gain on the Chagim, but if you do it before, oh boy. So very sad. Sorry to give you the news, but I thought maybe because it wasn't announced. I know from them it's today at 1:30, but maybe by now Feldman did. But I don't know if you gave Feldman. If I see an email from HE or Feldman, I'll forward to you.
Thank you.
Okay. Sorry for the bad news. Just honey,
Sorry.
sweet like honey. Giving,
Yeah.
giving, always on the sisterhood, giving and struggling. Not 8 months. So Tony, since March, April, this is going on. So
Wow.
I love you. I'm so sorry I have to run.
Okay. Have a good Shabbos, everyone. Bezrat Hashem, I'll see you next week. Can't
Big-
wait.
Yeah, same. I'm so happy. At least I'll see you 40 minutes and better than
Great.
nothing. Okay, love you so much. Bye.
You.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, thank you.
Yashar
Thank you.
koach.
Thank you so much,
Perfect.
Ellen. It really lines up. I'm working on preparing for all the October 7th stuff, October 7th, Shemini Atzeret. And my therapist basically told me I need to have a plan. I need to have a plan for October 7th to make sure I don't have another meltdown. And so just like what you talked about today is putting together a plan, figuring out what are my fences, so I can, get through October 7th, get through Shmini Atzeret, and get through Simchat Torah. So I'm very busy working on that. And I don't know if I mentioned, but recently I did have a breakthrough. I was able to do a full Hallel without a meltdown since
Wonderful.
first time since October 7th.
Wow. Good for you.
Yeah. So looking forward to seeing you next week.
Looking forward, Cheryl.
Yeah, safe travels.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay, bye.
Okay, see you soon. Bye-bye.